Aloha and welcome to Debunking the World. Today we'll be looking at a video made by the Law of Liberty Baptist Church in Jacksonville, Florida, which already has 1.9 million views. Before I say anything else, I want to thank Pastor Adam. We need people like him that actively seek truth and inform people on what is going on in the world. Having said that, I do need to inform you that with this video, false information has spread to 1.9 million people already. But more on that later. Let's get started.
Hello, this is Adam with Law of Liberty. I want to share an article with you today. Look at this. Bill Gates will use microchip implants to fight coronavirus.
In our last video, we talked about this exact article by Biohackinfo.com. I will link it in the description, together with all other sources I am providing. We looked at this article and how it is spreading false information, making claims without proof, and tying things together that do not belong together. If you want to know more, I will link the video for you in the description. We will not look at every single point again, but focus on Pastor Adam's video.
We've got a problem. It's not population. The problem is people like Bill Gates and organizations like Microsoft and the United Nations and the Rockefeller Foundation that are involved in this, and this scam, this scheme to destroy people's liberty called ID 2020.
This is just completely false. In no way is ID 2020 working towards destroying people's liberty. ID 2020 is working towards solving the problem of over 1 billion people who live without an officially recognized identity. Later in this video, Pastor Adam quotes Biohackinfo explaining just this. ID 2020 is not working on anything that would mess with people's liberty. But let's see what Pastor Adam has to say.
The article reads, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates will launch human implantable capsules that have digital certificates which can show who has been tested for the coronavirus and who has been vaccinated against it.
This is true and easily verifiable by looking at Bill Gates' Ask Me Anything post on Reddit. The problem is that Pastor Adam just said ID 2020 is working towards destroying people's liberty, and then goes on to quote the article by Biohackinfo. But the part he quotes is not talking about ID 2020 at all. The digital certificates Bill Gates mentioned in his post have nothing to do with ID 2020. And I quote, "When asked about the claim, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation told Reuters, the reference to digital certificates relates to efforts to create an open-source digital platform with the goal of expanding access to safe, home-based testing. This testing in context meaning testing for the coronavirus. IBM describes a digital certificate as an electronic document used to identify an individual and associate the identity with a public key. Like a driver's license or a passport, it provides proof of a person's identity." So here we have a claim made by Pastor Adam that ID 2020 is working towards destroying people's liberty, but no source or proof whatsoever. The quote he provided has nothing to do with ID 2020. Let's continue.
Now, this is quite a concern for any Bible-believing Christians, knowing what the Bible says about the end times, knowing that the Bible says there will be an Antichrist, a man that proclaims to be God, that will try to unite the world in a one-world government, with a one-world financial system, and establish a one-world religion. This one-world religion, they will worship the dragon, is what the Bible says, and he will be the top of it. He will proclaim himself to be God. He will act as if he is God. He will demand worship and do false miracles.
Now, Pastor Adam brings Bible prophecy into the mix without providing any evidence for correlation between ID 2020 and these prophecies. All he does is say this is a problem and lists what Christians generally believe to be part of the end times. My guess is that Pastor Adam has taken these false claims about Bill Gates, ID 2020, and digital certificates and believes these things to be connected to the so-called mark of the beast. But we will talk about that in a minute. My point is nothing of what Pastor Adam just said stands in correlation to the article he's referring to. He simply mixed false claims made by Biohackinfo and Bible prophecy.
The article continues, Gates was responding to a question on how businesses will be able to operate while maintaining social distancing, and said that eventually we will have some digital certificates to show who has recovered or who has been tested recently, or when we have a vaccine, who has received it. So here you go. You need a digital certificate in the form of an implantable tattoo in your hand to determine if you've had it or recovered or received their vaccine.
These, again, are false claims. Pastor Adam says,
So here you go. You need a digital certificate in the form of an implantable tattoo in your hand to determine if you've had it or recovered or received their vaccine.
just like the article by Biohackinfo, Pastor Adam has mixed Bill Gates' statement about digital certificates and the quantum dot tattoos project, or implantable tattoos, how Pastor Adam referred to them, together. And now, without the article he's referring to ever mentioning these tattoos going into the hand of a person, he is making just this claim. Pastor Adam also fails to provide any source that would indicate these tattoos will go into the hand of a person. Before we continue, let's take a quick look at what the Bible says about the mark of the beast, which Pastor Adam seems to have in mind while making some of his claims. And he causes the small and the great, the rich and the poor, and the freeman and the slaves to be given a mark on the right hand or on their forehead. And he provides that no one will be able to buy or sell except the one who has the mark, either the name of the beast or the number of his name. It is widely believed by Christians that this mark of the beast will be an implantable microchip. The issue we face with Pastor Adam's claims is that he seems to be indicating that these quantum dot tattoos are the mark of the beast. This, of course, can easily be proven false. Quantum dot tattoos cannot be used to buy or sell anything, which they would have to do if they were the mark of the beast. We won't go into this further, but I will provide a link if you want to read some more about these tattoos. So Pastor Adam bringing in Bible prophecy without giving us any correlation between them and his previous statements only brings confusion. The fact that he tells us these quantum dot tattoos will be implemented into the hand of a person without giving a source for his claim is very dangerous. Not everybody fact checks, sadly. Let's continue.
The quantum dot tattoos involve applying dissolvable sugar-based microneedles that contain a vaccine and fluorescent copper-based quantum dots embedded inside biocompatible micron capsules. After the microneedles dissolve under the skin, they have encapsulated quantum dots whose patterns can read to identify the vaccine that was administered.
So far, so good. We now know what quantum dot tattoos are and what they are for. Note that there has been no mention of buying or selling, which would be mandatory if this actually were the mark of the beast.
Embedded quantum dots into the body to keep your medical records. And this is part of a larger agenda. This is part of the ID 2020.
No, it is not, but we will get to this again in a minute.
Look what this article says. The quantum dot tattoos will likely be supplemented with Bill Gates' other undertaking called ID 2020, which is an ambitious project by Microsoft to solve the problem of over 1 billion people who live without an officially recognized identity. ID 2020 is solving this through digital identity. Currently, the most feasible way of implementing digital identity is through RFID microchip implants.
These, again, are false claims without any proof whatsoever. If Pastor Adam had bothered to fact-check the article he is quoting, he would have realized that the quantum dot tattoos and ID 2020 are two completely different things. We already talked about what ID 2020 is, and Pastor Adam read to us what quantum dot tattoos are and what they do. Go check for yourself. This claim is completely absurd. You can either go check my last video where we show Biohackinfo falsely ties together ID 2020 and quantum dot tattoos, even though they have nothing to do with each other. There is one more thing I need to point out. Pastor Adam quotes Biohackinfo saying RFID microchip implants are the most feasible way of implementing digital identity. When I read the article, it said currently the most feasible way of implementing digital identities either through smartphones or RFID microchip implants. I do not know if Biohackinfo at some point changed their article or what is going on here, but I feel that it is necessary to point out ID 2020 is not working on microchip implants. Biohackinfo falsely ties RFID chips to ID 2020 without any proof whatsoever, and Pastor Adam just blindly copied this statement. The dangerous thing about Pastor Adam's video is that in his video, the article only states that RFID chips are the most feasible way of implementing digital identity. Again, the mark of the beast, whatever it is, will be mandatory for people to buy or sell anything. Neither ID 2020 nor Bill Gates' digital certificates or quantum dot tattoos in any way have anything to do with people buying or selling. Biohackinfo tying the mark of the beast to already false claims without any proof is just outrageous. Pastor Adam fell for these false claims and seems to blindly believe them. Pastor Adam goes on to talk about ID 2020 and quotes a couple of Bible verses. Then he says this:
We should have the right to decide what goes into our body. We should have the right to reject an implantable biometric security certificate, a tattoo identifying us to the United Nations.
I completely agree that every human has the right to decide what goes into his or her body. What I do not agree with is Pastor Adam's mixed together claim. Nobody ever talked about implantable biometric security certificates, which also is a tattoo and identifies us to the United Nations. I am not sure where he got the word security certificate or how he got the idea that the quantum dot tattoos identify people to the United Nations. This is completely false. Also suggesting that these things will be forced onto us, whether it's the tattoo or some certificate, is also false. Pastor Adam fails to provide us any source on anybody saying these things will be forced onto people. So of course we have the right to choose what goes into our body and what doesn't. There are a lot of conspiracy theories flying around about forceful vaccines, but Pastor Adam does not mention them, nor does the article that he is quoting. I say this in all respect, but what you are doing here, Pastor Adam, is giving false testimony. You do not give any sources for your claims, and you did not fact-check the article you are quoting. On top of that, you are putting your own ideas into this article and bind its statements to biblical prophecies without showing us how they correlate. As Christians, we are held by God to our words and should check everything. Especially as Christian teachers, we really need to make sure what we say is true. Making mistakes is not an issue. Everybody messes up sometimes. But with multiple false claims and mixed together theories without any proof, this is more than just a simple mistake. Until now, your false statements have reached over 1.9 million people already, only through your video, not counting all the websites and people who quoted you. This video is not an attack on Pastor Adam or the Law of Liberty Baptist Church. All I am doing is proving that false information was spread and how dangerous these false claims can be. Everything I said was said in brotherly love and is not meant to be offensive or disrespectful. I would be glad to receive feedback or even to enter into discussion. With that said, please go and check everything I said. Do not just blindly copy what I am telling you. We are all responsible for what we believe and what we say. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned a few new things. Until next time, God bless.